Welcome back. This is Chris and my brother Stephen.
Hello.
Today is May 13th, year of our Savior, 2017. And I know you're probably tired of the background that you've seen for so long. So we're changing it a little bit. And the two things that are behind me, I might lean a little bit so you can kind of get a glimpse of it real quick, is the, what is it, the
United Nations flag.
Obviously the United Nations flag. And
Gleason's New Standard Map of the World.
Gleason's New Standard Map of the World, and it was taken out of, there's a little official seal by, I believe, Boston
Public Library.
Boston Public Library, and this was what was taught in public school. This is a geocentric map. The United Nations map is geocentric, and we're going to get into what geocentric is versus heliocentric. It's important to understand that. So as we begin this journey, we're talking about Genesis chapter 1. There's so much meat, so much truth in Genesis chapter 1. Now, Jesus Christ, as we identified, is the light mentioned in Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. Now, verse 4 states, "And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day." Genesis 1, 4 through 5. So we have light going on right out of day 1. Now we're going to get into day 2. So day 1 ends with the creating of heaven and earth, specifically Jesus Christ, Alpha and Omega, the light that separates the darkness. And that's what's going to happen at the very end. We're not going to need the two great lights. We're not going to need the stars, because once again, Jesus is going to be our light, metaphorically and physically. Day 2 commences with the formation of the firmament, which is heaven. Most people do not really understand what firmament means. I didn't. So we're going to define what the word firmament means, which is heaven. Now verse 6 says, "And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day." So it mentions firmament how many times? What, 3 times? 4 times. And what's it saying? There's going to be water above the firmament and water below the firmament. And it says that the firmament is heaven, because at the very beginning God created heaven and earth. And now we're getting more of a definition of what heaven is, at least within our realm where we reside. Heaven equals firmament. Kind of like a mathematical, an equation. So now we have the second day. Now, what is the firmament? A great question. It's something that so many pastors should ask the congregation. The following definition is taken from the New Strong's Expanded Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible by James Strong, Hebrew and Aramaic Dictionary. It's the Hebrew 7549, pronounced rakia, and it is a primitive root, means to pound the earth as a sign of passion, by analogy to expand by hammering. If you're ever like hammering like tin or thing like that, you're expanding it, you're overlaying it. By implication, here we go, by implication, to overlay with thin sheets of metal, beat, make broad, spread abroad, forth, over, out, into plate, stamp, stretch. You're looking something that you're expanding over, you're covering something. And I think that's such a perfect description, because isn't that exactly what the firmament is doing? It's covering the earth. This is geocentric perspective. This is the Bible and the correct interpretation of it. Properly, an expanse, something spread out typically over a wide area, firmament. That is the firmament or apparently visible arch of the sky. Now we have another clue. You have, for example, on a plane or a level surface, you would have an arch, okay? An arch. That would be like a half circle is what it would be. Now an arch can only reside on a level surface is what we're seeing. So we see arch of the sky. And if you just go outside and use your own two eyes, it looks like an arch. It looks like an arch, especially at night. Now, rakia means that which is fixed and steadfast, rather than that which is solid. The application to the heavenly bodies is simple and beautiful. 1b, they are not fickle and uncertain in their movements, but are regulated by a law that they cannot pass over. So right away we have that you have these stars that are moving within the firmament, and they have a fixed pattern, or they have an orbit. And it's put in place by a divine intelligence, by God. Now we find that this word comes from rakos, Hebrews 7:554, which means spread or stretched out, hence an expanse. Thus it is extended and fixed, or fixed space. This interplanetary spaces are measured out by God, and though the stars are ever moving, they generally preserve fixed relative positions. Their movements are not erratic, not in straight lines, but in orbits, and thus, thou ever changing, they're always the same. And that's what we've seen since the beginning of time. If you look up into the universe, you look up into the arch, what do you see? You see constellations and stars going in a particular motion, and they've continued that way, except Polaris, which is the North Star, and the North Pole, which are in direct alignment with each other. Everything else is spinning around it. Now, firmament, if you just look up firmament in your standard Webster 7th New Collegiate Dictionary, 1967, firmament, page 314, this is what it says. It is from the late Latin firmamentum, from the Latin support, from firmare. Number one, the vault or arch of the sky, heavens. Now, we have another word that we're introducing. We're introducing the word vault. So if you look up, it's a vault, it's an arch, it's an enclosed system, is what we're saying. It's an enclosed system. Now, this is differing from what we've been taught since childhood, what we've been infected with in the movies that we've seen. Number two, basis. Now we'll look up the word vault. Vault, an arched structure of masonry, usually forming a ceiling or roof, something as the sky resembling a vault, an arched or dome-shaped anatomical structure. So once again, we have a vault. Now a vault, an arch, is going to fit on a plane surface. Now arch, a typically curved structural member spanning an opening or serving as a support. Something resembling an arch in form or function, especially either two vaulted portions of the bony structure of the foot. Curvature, archway. So once again, rainbow is an arch. That's what, then we get dome. All these words are connected. Dome comes from the Italian word Duomo. And if you've ever been to Italy, the Duomo is the head church. It's a cathedral, another word for cathedral. But what does Duomo mean? And if you look at it, they have a dome on it, also known as a basilica. And that is from the medieval Latin domos, or church. And it's archaic. It's a stately building, mansion, a large hemispherical roof or ceiling, a natural formation or other structure that resembles the dome or cupola, rounded vault resting on a circular or other base and forming a roof or ceiling of the building. That's what you see the St. Peter's Basilica. So what are we seeing? We're seeing a hemispherical. And so what you see is, you see a half of a dome, a half is resting on a flat surface, is what you see. That's what this is all about, a dome. Bow. It's related to bow. Now we get into something bent into a simple curve, bend, arch, rainbow. And then also it can be a means to bend into a curve. Now we have to build our vocabulary, understanding words, because if we don't understand words, how can we understand their meaning? Rainbow. So we have bow now. Now it's a rainbow. An arc that exhibits in concentric, having a common center, axis bands the colors of the spectrum that is formed opposite the sun by the refraction and reflection of the sun's rays in raindrop, spray, or mist. A multicolored array. Now, why is it form an arch? You know why? Because it's a refraction or a reflection off of the dome of the sky. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna get a rainbow inside of a house. It has to be outside. Now, if there's anything I'm saying you disagree with, Stephen, please let me know. So that's what it is, and that's what's so amazing. Now, right off the bat, you're probably thinking of Star Wars and infinite space and all this other nonsense, folks. But space doesn't exist. Wow, quite a statement. Yeah. I'm just here to give you the geocentric perspective. I'm here to shoot straight with you. We're in a closed system. Yeah. That's what we're in, okay? Now, Operation Fishbowl, if I digress for a moment, you had the government actually knows this. The military, United States military, literally tried to blast through the firmament.
The dome.
The dome. And you'll see this reference in Stephen King's He Has the Dome, or The Truman Show, or they put it there to mock us, or there was, I think, a Simpsons episode where they're in the stadium and they hit the ball into the sky and it broke a hole through the glass and then all the water came down and filled the stadium. They know, the Luciferians know, that we're in a self-contained system. All this is propaganda.
The military operation was called Dominic.
Dominic.
And inside that operation, Dominic was called Operation Fishbowl.
Okay, see, I need clarification there. So the military operation was Dominic, but the
category that they were under was Fishbowl.
Fishbowl. And obviously Fishbowl is pretty descriptive, because it's a fishbowl. We're in a bowl. We're in a self-contained system. Now, a rainbow is a meteorological phenomena caused by reflection, refraction, dispersion of light in water droplets resulting in a spectrum. And that's what we can see is within the rainbow, which is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And that's a very tiny perspective of light that we can see. And that is the great covenant that God made with mankind, that he would never flood the earth like he did before. So we found out that firmament means heaven, that firmament equals heaven, and that it is a dome, it's a vault, it's an arch in the sky. And it keeps that there's water above the firmament, there's water above heaven, and there's water below heaven. Now, where would the water below heaven be? Well, that would be the seas, right? That would be where the water is. Now, the water above the firmament, that's the reason why we have our blue skies.
Think about it.
Yeah, blue skies. Now, if we get into firmament equals heaven, heaven means the expanse of space that seems to be over the earth like a dome. This is right out of your collegiate dictionary. That seems to be. It looks like a dome. Firmament. And then it lists the word firmament. Right in the English language, folks. Heaven lists the word firmament right there. Usually in plural, often capitalized, the dwelling place of the deity and the joyful abode of the blessed dead, a spiritual state of everlasting communion with God. So understand that where is the throne of God? Well, we're going to get into that. That's another good question. Where is the throne of God? Now, firmament If we look at the word firmament, once again, it's the vault or arch of the sky, heavens. Now, firmament comes from the Latin firmare, to make firm, confirm, to make firmer, firmer, strengthen, from the Latin firmus, firm. So firmament comes from the word firm. It's akin to the Greek word thronos, chair or throne. Firm comes from the same Latin word as firmament, which means firmare, a securely or solidly fixed in place, solid, vigorous, having a solid or compact texture, not subject to change or revision, steady, steadfast, well-founded, firmness or resolution. Firm implies such compactness and coherence and often elasticity of substance as to resist pulling, distorting, pressing. It connotes stability and resoluteness. Hard implies impenetrability, and nearly complete but inelastic resistance to pressure or tension. So this is basically impervious. It's probably like solid glass because we can see obviously the blue through it, but it's impenetrable. The United States military was unable to blast a hole through the firmament. So above the firmament resides the throne, or thronos of God. Firm is akin or related to the word throne. Now, throne means the chair of state of a king, priest, or prince, or bishop, the seat of a deity or devil. Game of Thrones, royal or sometimes episcopal power and dignity, sovereignty, high order of angels. So the throne is above the dome. And that's where God resides. God resides on the throne above the dome. Now we see the word expanse. When we're looking at the word firmament, it mentioned expanse. An overlaying is what it is. Now, expanse means something spread out typically over a wide area, as a firmament. And that's right out of your collegiate dictionary under expanse, page 292. Then we get into universe. Universe. Remember we talked about universe. Uni means one and verse means to turn. The whole body of things and phenomenon observed or postulated. Cosmos. A systematic whole held to arise by and persist through the direct intervention of divine power. So even the very definition of the word universe mentions divine power. The world of human experience. Milky Way galaxy, an aggregate of stars comparable to the Milky Way. So now we're understanding what the word firmament means. What it is. It's heaven. And it's mentioned right there, day 2 in Genesis chapter 1. Now, this vault or arch of the sky resides on a plane, folks. If you look at it with your own eyes, it's a plane. That's why if you're in an airplane, what is it? It's a vehicle that's going off of the plane and going into the air. That's why they call it an airplane. They don't call it an air planet. They call it an airplane. Now, plane, right out of your collegiate dictionary, means a surface of such nature that a straight line joining two of its points lies wholly in the surface. 1b, a flat or level surface, a level of existence, consciousness, or development. So we're learning what plane is. It is a level or flat surface. You got to think of conceptually. We're dealing with the contour of the land, of course, but we're looking at the layout is on a plane. And then the arch or the vault or the dome resides on top of the plane. So let's recap. God created the heaven or firmament, which is the arch, dome, or vault that is placed on the plane earth. Genesis 1:1 through 8. Firmament means an expanse or covering of the earth, which is an interplanetary or closed system. The firmament separated the waters above heaven from the waters that are below heaven. Genesis 1, verse 7. Yes, there was or is water above the firmament. Perhaps this is why we have a blue sky. Now we're getting into Genesis 1, verses 9 through 13. Stephen, would you like to read Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 through 13?
Sure.
Isn't this amazing? Isn't this exciting to know what heaven is, what firmament means? Firmament comes from the word firm. It is solid.
Mm-hmm.
You can't blast through it. And that's the reason why we have atmosphere.
Genesis 1, and you said 9 through 11?
9 through 13.
9 through 13. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so.
Okay, when it says heaven, what is another word for heaven? It'd be firmament.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so.
Amen.
And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day.
So now we're in day 3. We have stuff growing now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no sun, moon, or stars yet. So what light is that? That's the light of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And that's what it's going to be again when he comes at his what? His second advent, his second coming. You know, we're going to get a new heaven and a new earth. That's what's really exciting about this. So now we're on day 3. We've just finished day 3. We have green stuff growing, beautiful landscape, amazing stuff growing, and we don't have... What light are we using? We're using the light of Christ.
Right.
Now, this is what's exciting, day 4. Now, I have missed this. I've read this. Now, folks, this is going to be so simple, but I guarantee that 90% of Christians, 90% of people aren't going to be able to accept this basic truth. But it is so simple that a child can understand. Mm-hmm. Sure, you're going to explain it away. Sure, you're going to have a private interpretation towards it. But it states what it states. It says what it says.
You must accept it as a child.
You really must accept it as a child. And that's what meekness is meekness is your ability to humble yourself and accept what the Word of God says. Now, day 4, let us start reading, starting at verse 14, Stephen.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night.
So now God is putting lights where? He's putting lights up into the firmament, up into heaven, up into the dome, up into the vault.
And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years.
So what we're seeing up into the firmament, what I interpret from this is that this is a big calendar, this is a clock, is what it is.
Same.
And it's for us to determine the day, the years, the seasons. It's also can be used to navigate across the seas and oceans.
Using sextant?
A sextant, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Stephen. Verse 15.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so.
Okay, so now we have that these are lights. What are they? Lights. They give light in the firmament to give light to where? To earth. That's the sole purpose of these lights in heaven, is to bring light upon the earth so that we can see it because we're at the center of the universe. Isn't that exciting? Knowing that we are at the center of the universe,
Amen.
that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that we matter, that we weren't created by accident.
Praise the Lord. Thank you.
I mean, to me, that's exciting. Why wouldn't you want to accept this truth? It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Continue.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
All right, this truth right there is so huge. Now, what is it? Let's break it down. 2. 1, 2. What does 2 mean? You know, this sounds really. I'm trying not to be insulting because I'm talking about myself here. Does 2 mean 1? Does 2 mean 2? Or does 2 mean 3? This is not a trick question. I mean, a child can understand this, yet I read over this and I never got it.
Yeah.
But 2 means 2.
That's what it says.
That's what it says, and that's what it means. There is no private interpretation. 2 means 2. And I'm going to hit it again and again because you're like, it doesn't compute. What I saw on TV, I saw... No.
What I've been told in school.
What I've been told in school. No, 2 means 2. That's what it means. Doesn't mean 1, doesn't mean 3. 2 means 2. Now,
we are going to prove this also.
yes, we are. We're going to prove this. We're going to run out of time here. Now, what does great mean? In the context here, what does great mean? Great means that it's larger than any of the other lights in the dome, in the firmament, in the heavens. That's what it means, that there are 2 great lights in the firmament, in the dome, that you can go outside and observe right now, do a scientific experiment, observe right now, and discover for yourself. You go, no, I have to go through my science priest because he will tell me what to believe. Stop, folks. Observe. There are 2 great lights that are larger than anything else in the firmament. Great place to stop, folks. We have run out of time. We're going to pick it up, God willing. Come to the light. Remember, there's 2 great lights. God bless you. Bye.